everyone. Welcome to the very first ever in the history of the universe video soul sign interview. I'm Adam Gainsburg with Andrea Kennedy, and we are here with our very first video interviewee, Amanda Pua Walsh.
Aloha, everybody.
Yes. Amanda is hugely responsible for spreading the work of excellent astrologers around the world, much more than many of us could have ever managed, probably within 10 years of our work. And she's been doing it for only a couple years. So I don't want to say too much more about Amanda, because I would like our questions and her responses to our questions to kind of open up the space and really learn about Amanda. So Amanda, from my heart, thank you very much for being here again.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It is such a pleasure.
Yeah. So Amanda, so the first question is, just give us a little background about what were the major experiences of your life in turn professionally, and how did you end up on the North Shore of Maui?
Okay, so major milestones of my professional career?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have my master's in psychology. And I thought that I was going to go into, it's organizational psychology. So I thought I was going to go into like leadership development and employee development and working within organizations. And that's obviously the Capricorn part of me. So I graduated from San Francisco State with my master's in that type of psychology. Uh-huh. And I worked in the field for a little bit, and then my dad and my brother were starting a wireless consulting company right at the time when wireless phones were starting to be big. I mean, it was like right in the period of time where not everybody had one, but it was definitely, a huge trend. Mm-hmm. And they lured me with the idea of entrepreneurship. And really in my heart, that was exciting. The idea of building something with them from scratch.
Yes.
And something, entrepreneurialism has always felt like this green field. It's like, what do we want to create? And then let's just create it, So they had this idea, and it was already starting to take some ground, to get some ground in the Bay Area.
Okay.
So I joined forces with them, and quickly in my experience with them, it became obvious that we could expand the business. And so I volunteered to expand the business to New York City. And so basically moved and brought everything, brought barely anything with me, but found an apartment on the Upper East Side. And started the company from scratch. Didn't know a person, really didn't know much about the industry there at all, but knew I wanted to be in New York.
So how old were you then?
28.
Okay, so 28, since we're all people who speak astrology, to right around the Saturn return.
Yes. 28 years old, and I just knew I had fallen in love with New York. I did an internship in grad school between my first and second year, and I had fallen in love with the city. And I knew I would be back, but I thought I would be back as an old lady. Like I had this vision of myself as an old lady living in New York City with a little dog that had a bow on it. And I would just walk around and go to shows and love my little New York City life. And I thought that would be great. But it happened a lot sooner than I thought. So there I am, New York City.
Okay.
And my task was to grow the territory or grow our company there. And so within about a year, I had closed one of the biggest deals in wireless technology history, which was to equip all of the New York City yellow cabs with a screen in the back that enables credit card transactions and also enables advertisers to put their messages on the screen.
Wow.
Now, so this was a huge deal, right? I'm not so sure I'm that proud of my legacy in New York.
I was going to say, I hate those things.
But of course you do. Of course you do. But it was a big, huge accomplishment for me at the time. And it enabled me to stay in the city that I wanted to stay in at the time. And so that was huge. And so that was, we went from $0 in revenue to, 10 to $15 million in revenue. And it happened really, really fast. And I loved it at the time. It was really exciting. It was that thing that I said before, that I'm building something, and it was exciting. But then I got to a point where I wanted, a lot of things happened, but I had that moment of like, okay, but what am I building? Like, is this something that I believe in? Is this like, am I really behind this? Am I part of the problem, or am I part of the solution? And I felt at the time that I'm a little bit more part of the problem. I had this justification of, well, at least when people are using wireless, they're using less paper. So then it's not as bad for the environment, you know?
Absolutely. Like, yeah, there are some people now who will not buy my physical books. They're like, Adam, get it on Kindle and I'll buy all of them. But until then, sorry. Right.
Exactly. So I mean, I knew that it wasn't like the worst thing in the world that I was attaching myself to, but it also wasn't something that I was like, you know, fully passionately behind.
Yeah. Okay. So let me back up a little second. So in astrology, especially at conferences or when you're at a local chapter meeting, a lot of times people will introduce themselves after their name and they'll give what's called the big three: sun, moon, and ascendant. So what's your sun sign?
Capricorn.
Okay. Moon?
Gemini.
And then rising?
Aquarius.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see. Capricorn. So Earth, Sun, Air, Moon, and Air rising.
Right.
Okay. Great. So I'm not going to go into interpret it because I'll let the people listening and watching this to like, oh, okay, I can see that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. I do want to ask you a follow-up question with what you said. When you moved out there, you were just filled with the spirit of entrepreneurship. Yeah. We can create something. And you did.
Yeah.
And once you did, that's when, okay, what am I doing here? Am I part of the solution or part of the problem? I often find that until we have some kind of what for us in our hearts would be called success or accomplishment, even a little bit, it's like it's still premature to ask the question, how am I part of the solution and not part of the problem? We need to get like our feet wet first. And so even at a young age of 28 years old, that's pretty awesome that you had that big success, and then you could pretty quickly afterwards start asking that question. A lot of people at that age, Amanda, with the thrill of succeeding in the Big Apple on their own, with big numbers and big success, would then go, I want more of that feeling.
Yeah. Well, that happened for like 4, 5, 6 years. You know, it was more. How do we get bigger? How do we expand more? How do we do more? And then I got to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, this is insatiable. This will never end. Like this more will never end. And I remember this moment. I was in New York City with I have 3 brothers, and I share the middle with my brother Patrick. We're very close. We're all very close. But we were walking on the streets, and I remember exactly where we were. And I said to him, Patrick, do you know anyone who is really happy? Like really happy. And this is amazing, this question in the context, because we knew some very successful people. Like monetarily, they have it all. Maybe even they've been married their whole life. They have children. They have, more money than you could ever imagine. And so I asked him that question. We were crossing the street, and we were quiet for a while. It was a while. It probably at least 4 or 5 minutes. And then he said, no, I don't. And I looked at him and I said, I don't either. And it was this moment where I was like, God, there is something wrong with this picture. Like there's something wrong. The fact that like neither one of us can even call up like someone just truly like intrinsically just so overflowing with happiness, And so that was one of the defining moments for me in terms of just beginning to see things differently. But the biggest defining moment was having my daughter. So I may have stayed on more. I may have, I don't know. But I had a daughter, and
while you were living in New York?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so that changed everything. And I think my soul knew that having children would change everything for me, and that's why my ego put it off for so long. Maybe not so long, right. But I had Madeline at 30, and then I had Sophia at 33.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So they are 6 and 8? No.
Yes. 5 and 8.
5 and 8. Great. Yeah. And how are they now living on Maui? I wonder.
They are so in love with this island. Sometimes because from a business perspective, this is not the most like logical place to be on the planet. It's actually probably like the least. It's one of the places that would make the least sense to live when you're growing a business. Except for an online business, it does make it easier. However, so there's times where I'm like, gosh, should I move to California?
Right.
And also all of our family's there. So it's kind of like double, a double draw. But they are just like, no, mama, we love it here. And really the lifestyle that they have and what they get to do. I mean, they're in the ocean, they're climbing trees, they're barefoot, they're picking flowers, they're building fairy houses. They're just so connected with nature. And I really, really wanted that for them. That was part of like my draw to leave New York, was realizing that my daughter, I just had the one at the time, that she wouldn't know nature and she wouldn't have any connection with it if we stayed in New York. Right.
Then Amanda, why New York to Maui rather than New York back home with family to California?
It's a very good question. I didn't want to go back. It felt like going backwards for me. And I was kind of done. It's like, I've done that. I love it. I love my family. It's very hard for me to be far from them. But it just didn't feel like where I was meant to go back to. At least not right now. I mean, who knows? Maybe some other time, but yeah.
And you've been on Maui now for how long?
So I've been on Maui for 2 years. We actually went to the Big Island first. So I went from the concrete jungle of Manhattan to the literal jungle of the Big Island. We moved to the east side of the island.
I was going to say wet or dry. That's the wet.
We moved to Pahoa. So if anyone is familiar, I moved to literally the wild, wild west of the Hawaiian Islands. It was crazy to the contrast. It was like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Here I am one day in Manhattan, and here I am one day in Pahoa. And I remember the first drive down through the downtown of Pahoa, which is literally this big, and just being like, oh my gosh, that's it? That's all? That's all that's here? And realizing that there's really no white sand beaches there. I had never been to the Big Island. I didn't know what it was. I had been to Maui and I was like, oh, it's Hawaii. How different could it be? And it's like, oh, really different.
Wow.
And so I was there and I spent the first 2 months trying to figure out a way to get off that island. But anyone familiar with Pele energy, Pele is the goddess of the volcano in Hawaii. She's the goddess of the volcano anywhere, but there's a big connection with her because her home is the Big Island. And she basically said, girl, sit your butt down. You're not going anywhere. You're going to stay here. And she was, obviously this was a process because I didn't believe in goddesses or things like that at the time. So this idea of even a goddess telling me to stay there was pretty silly.
Now, you got that information directly yourself in different experiences over time.
Yeah. So I remember, every time I would be filled with massive angst about leaving, someone, an angel, and at the time I only accepted human angels, right? So the message had to come through a human because I wouldn't have been able to see or hear anything else. Yes. And so I met human beings who transmitted messages to me at the perfect time, the perfect place, that made me realize I needed to stay. So
So when you got those messages from the human angel, the human communicators, would you accept them? Or were there times when you would get the messages and go, no, I don't want to know that right now? Or was it more like, great, yeah, bring it. I'll incorporate as much as I can. Or what? How receptive were you to getting the messages? More than just, oh, this is so awesome, this is cool, up here.
That's a really good question. I'd have to say with staying on Big Island, that was a little bit easier. When I was getting messages about my marriage later on, this happened on Maui, that it was going to need to split apart, that I held on for dear life. That was no, everything, anything but that. So that was harder for me. But staying on the Big Island, I was kind of stuck anyways. I was in a 1-year lease. And my big plan was to create some sort of online business when I moved to Hawaii, and I didn't have internet access. So, literally I was begging my neighbors to piggyback off I was running a wireless technology company in New York, and then I couldn't even get internet access. And so all my plans had to just die. It was everything I thought I was going to do was just not happening.
Yes.
So I just surrendered eventually, but not without some kicking and screaming.
I lived on Maui for 3 years, and it was such a critical transition for me as well. It was so clear that I was meant to move there, and when it was time to leave, it was like Maui's butt could not kick me off quick enough.
Yeah,
it was like, get out of here, and
Yeah.
The shape of the islands. So I'm doing this from my perspective, but the viewers, you'll see it backwards. But Big Island, I forgot the next one, Maui, and all the way up to Kauai, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Big Island is where the hot spot in the mantle is, in the crust is. So that's where all the volcanoes are. But these older islands are much older, and so the whole plate of the Earth is shifting this way. So these islands up here, it was a very long time ago when they were volcanic. It's generally, I mean, when I was there, it's pretty accepted and agreed that the closer you get to that hot spot, the more catalytic physical life becomes.
Totally.
The more you're up here in Kauai, it's more seven chakra, it's more out, It's more spiritual, and So you were right there in the heart of this form. Oh, forget that. That's don't hang on to that. Oh,
totally.
This one. Oh, you like that one? Oh, great. Don't hang on to that either.
Not only that, I set up my home base on the volcano of Kilauea. Like literally, like I didn't know any of this stuff. You guys? I mean, I was following spirit the whole time.
Yes.
I didn't know.
Yes.
But I mean, literally, I'm like right in an ohia forest on Kilauea. Like just
Now, Amanda, just to credit you, I remember being there, and a lot of people from around the world would say, "I don't know why I'm here. I have to be here," and within a week, they're gone.
I know.
And that's not even the people who move onto Kilauea. So the fact that you followed your heart, your vision to be there, and then the island and the natural mana and the intelligence of the place supported that, means you were not just tapped into yourself, you were tapped into something there, the medicine there as well. And that, because I've lived there, I know what that is. It's very special and unique, Amanda.
Well, Adam, that is so true. And I don't take credit for any of that because I know that it wasn't me somehow making sure that I could stay there. It was that I needed to be there and that the island, I have a connection with the islands, and I know that deep connection. So it was in a lot of ways coming home. On the Big Island, I know that there was, I did some past life regression and I've tuned into, why I was called there. But a lot of it was to work through a very big theme around betrayal. And so there was a lot of that came up for me, and I got to work through that on some very, very deep levels. And I actually got to continue working through that on Maui too. So it wasn't the end of it. But I know that I have deep, deep roots and connection and history with that, definitely with the Big Island and definitely with Maui. I don't know about Oahu and Kauai.
Yeah. So if it's okay, and it's totally okay if it's not okay, can I ask you kind of more of an esoteric question?
Of course.
Okay, great. Before I went there, I had read some esoteric literature, and when I was there, I had a lot of meditation-produced experiences of the connection between some of the Hawaiian energy, the earth energy, specifically the memory of the earth there, with ancient cultures, Atlantis, specifically Lemuria, and even old stuff that are connected with other. Did you have any of that? Did any of that enter your awareness since you've been there, or no?
It has, for sure. And the Pleiades. So it's I definitely feel like the Lemuria, for sure, like feeling that connection where I was maybe part of the group that was harnessing and using technology. And I really feel like we're at a point in our human history where we're at a similar choice point with how we use technology.
Yes.
And I feel so strongly that I'm here to help us use technology for the light and make sure that the way that it doesn't use us, that we're actually utilizing it to spread light and love and to create connection and a global community. And, but it could just as easily go the other way. You know, I can see that too, you know, so just like what happened with Facebook Live. I mean, Facebook Live is my new favorite tool for communicating with our audience because it is real time and we can connect and engage with each other. And it just feels so organic and in the moment and real and authentic. And I love that. And there's people who, as you may or may not have heard on the news, are using it for awful things, awful things. And so, as with everything, we can use things for the light and we can use them for the dark, and it's our choice. So I feel really clear that we are at a similar point where we could go in either direction.
Right. Amanda, let's move to Astrology Hub.
Okay.
So my understanding is before Astrology Hub even hit you, well, before astrology even occurred to you, you were just looking for answers. And you found some amazing astrologers that you really benefited from, like in more than just getting a reading.
Yeah.
Like actual, like true mentorship in deeper places in you. Is that that's my peripheral understanding. Is that accurate, or how
that's
could that
100% accurate?
Oh,
yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. I mean, what happened was I met Natasha. So Natasha Alter. Yeah, she gave me my first reading, and she happened to live 10 minutes away from my house. And I was referred to her from a woman in New York City.
Of course.
So literally, like, New York City says, you need to have a reading with this lady. She's in Hawaii somewhere. I have no idea. I don't even know what island. And then she happens to be 10 minutes away from me. Like literally in Seaview, I'm in Kalapana. It's like, what? So
wow. Yeah.
I show up on her doorstep, and that, again, this is fate. You know, this is like Natasha and I were meant to meet. She has become one of my dearest friends on the planet. I call her my fairy godmother. I mean, literally, she is an amazing, amazing woman. And so I had my first reading with her. And then, you know, Natasha. So we just kept talking and talking and talking. More tea. And I just realized how amazing this gift of astrology was for me at the time, because when I met her, it was right before we were going to move to Maui. I'd say like maybe I got to spend a year with her on Big Island, and then we moved to Maui. And that's when things got even more intense for me. So I definitely relied on her for a lot of guidance throughout some really challenging times. And then the Leo King, I gotta say, this guy, the way I think I think there's some, like our charts have a good, you know, whenever he says something, it's speaking directly to me. Like, I'm like, yes, that is true. I resonate, that you are sending me messages. And a lot of people that feel that way, thousands of people feel that way, which is amazing. A lot, thousands and thousands of people.
And that's a gift.
That's a gift.
Whatever level, whatever kind of astrology one practices, if you can use it to connect people to themselves better, 3 or 3,000, that's a gift. You know,
he is so, and he's dedicated to that mission. I've met him in person. I know he's dedicated to the mission of helping everyone tap into that self-expression and really do it. And he's modeling it for us as like the perfect Leo. So anyways, he has this app, which I downloaded. I don't even know who recommended it to me. I downloaded it, and then I was addicted because it was that real-time feedback I needed, especially in the darkest times. I was like, okay, I'm not going crazy. There's a bigger purpose behind this. It's going to be okay. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. I knew that because he would be telling me what the astrology was saying. And this was like, 2013 to 2015. You know?
So it was quite a while, like a good 2 years or year and a half of you like really relying on this information.
Yes. And between him and Natasha. Yeah.
You know, I've been blessed to sit with many, many people over the years, and whatever brings us that kind of support, regular, daily, or weekly support, whatever it is, whether it's a mantra, it's a guru, it's an astrology app, it's a beautiful flowering tree outside our house, whatever it is, man, we just got to stick with what works.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to slip out of consciousness.
Yes.
So the more reminders we have throughout our day, it's part of the reasons why I love our membership program, the Year of Astrology, because it's this continuous, constant touch point. And I really think we all need that,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Andrea, can you relate?
Yes, very much so. Very much so. I love also, Amanda, so the Conscious Marketer, how did you get together with Richard Taubinger? Is that his name? Is that right? How did you two meet, and how did that collaboration start
That's such a great question. So we have a beach here on Maui called Ulua, and we had Sunday family beach days with my children go to the Waldorf school, and there's some families that would meet at Ulua. So I got invited to the Ulua beach day and started going. And I got invited by Marion Taubinger. So this is Rich's wife. And so we were going every Sunday, and I kept seeing her husband, and he's a pretty, he's a Scorpio rising. That's probably all I have to say. And so, I would see him, and he was interesting, but he didn't talk much and he didn't engage much. But there was this one day where I just looked at him and I was like, I'm going to work with that man. Like, I know I'm going to end up working with him. I have no idea even what he does, but I know that I'm going to end up working with him at some point. So
fabulous.
Yeah, it was just, it was through the school, it was through our kids, it was through his wife, who is also one of my dearest friends on the planet. So, yeah.
So, Conscious Marketer, you applied your skill. Was it hard to come back from Fifth Avenue, like to bring the Fifth Avenue Amanda to this Maui version of Amanda and say, okay, we're going to do this Conscious Marketer now?
Well, we skipped something that's important to note. On the Big Island, the last 6 months there, I was doing an online TV show. So finally Pele was like, okay, you can do something. And I was able to get the internet thing all settled. And so I did a show called Pele Ma TV. And what it was basically like a gift to all of the healers and kahunas and amazing people who had helped me in what ended up being like a 2-year retreat on the Big Island. I mean, when I look at it now, I'm like, God, I was met with like these energy workers and all these amazing people that helped to bring me back to myself. And so I wanted to give back. And so I created this TV show. I did an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign to fund the show, because at that time we didn't have Facebook Live, which is free. So I needed to do, the only way I knew how to do it was to like create a production. So I hired a director from LA that was a friend, and he came out and he filmed our, I think we did 12 episodes.
Oh, wow.
And it was amazing. I loved it. It was so much fun. And at the time I had a list of 1,000 people who we skipped a lot, but that's okay. It was something that I was helping this woman on a project called Detox the World. And it was, she's an author who did physical detoxification. And then I would do the emotional, spiritual detoxification that happens at the same time that the body's detoxifying. Cool. So we were doing some cool stuff. So from that, I had, 1,200 people that were following me. So I did Pele Ma TV, 12 episodes. It was great. Everyone who watched it loved it. And then I ran out of money. I ran out of money and I could no longer do it. And so this was Big Island Amanda. So this was like Hawaii Amanda, who didn't bring in the business savvy to her endeavor. I really just went on heart, and I really just went 100% on like content. And I had this, it was actually a little bit of an experiment, because I was testing the spiritual idea that if you just follow your heart, like everything will fall into place, like everything will work. And also if you put the right content out, people will come to you. Okay, so I was trying to like see, like, is that true? Does that work? In my case, I would say there's some really big caveats to those principles. So Hawaii Amanda meets Fifth Avenue Amanda, which I was never on Fifth Avenue. It was, I would say more, call me more like Tribeca Amanda.
Okay. Well,
that's a little more my style.
Better.
Hipster Amanda. Okay.
So anyway, so yes, it was hard to marry those. I resisted it because I was our chief sales officer for the wireless technology company. And I was tired of that. Like, I didn't want to manipulate or like use certain words so people would buy, or it was like out of my system. Like I couldn't do it anymore. So I needed to find a new way. It was like, I can't do it the old way, but this other way of like not doing it at all, like no marketing, no sales, also doesn't work.
Right.
Like you're going to run out of money. And also we need to have the exchange, or else we run out of energy. Like you know, the mana is exhausted. So there has to be a circulation of energy, or else it'll die.
Right.
Like anything will die without a circulation of energy. And right now, the way we circulate energy is through money a lot of the times.
Yes.
I don't think that's going to be the way it is forever, but it is right now. And so, so yes, there was resistance at first to the whole even marketing concept. And then eventual embracing because of the way that Rich was approaching it. Because that he understood, he was working with all conscious authors and teachers. So the biggest client that he has right now is Sounds True Audio, Sounds True Publishing. So through Sounds True, he's working with Jack Kornfield and Tara Brach, and he's working with Eckhart Tolle and, you know, some of the biggest spiritual teachers in the world. And so he understands that you don't go out with the old way of marketing. Like it actually doesn't work for a conscious audience. And it's not in resonance. It's not in vibration. So the marketing actually has to be in vibration with the audience. And so it's not that there's no marketing. It's just that it's the right marketing. And also that it's true and that it's authentic. And the coolest thing that I'm seeing is that true and authentic marketing actually is the most successful. So it's like this win-win-win. It's this perfect symbiotic thing where the people benefit, you benefit as the creator, and there's no out of alignment. There's no out of integrity, which I couldn't do anymore. That was like when I was at my wit's end in New York, it was that I felt like there was certain things that were happening in certain projects I was working on where I felt like I was very much out of integrity. And I didn't feel like I was out of integrity, and I wasn't willing to go there again. It was too painful, you know.
Amanda, you and Richard and your team, you do such a good job with finding that resonance or that bandwidth and being in resonance with your audience. Do you see others or other companies or other luminaries in the conscious marketing space who are doing it both either well or not well, like you don't understand how, like you disagree with how they're doing it, or like I'm just wanting to get a bit more of an understanding of that whole space beyond conscious marketer?
Yeah, great question. Marie Forleo, to me, is a great example of a marketer who is in very much alignment with her truth. You can feel it 100%. Jeff Walker is another marketer. Russell Brunson. There's actually a lot of them, and actually the ones that I can think of are the ones that are blazing a trail. They're like, this is it's relatively new. It's not like everyone's going around talking about authentic marketing or conscious marketing or any of those things, but I do see that it is the trend and it is the way it's going, because if you think about even just like the millennials, they don't take bullshit. Right. They don't want bullshit. They see right through it. Exactly. It doesn't work. So if you want to, and the thing I love, there's a built-in mechanism here, because you can't fake authenticity. You can't fake it. So it's like, passion, it has to be, or passion or enthusiasm or any of those things. You can try and you may get away with it for a certain amount of time, but eventually it's gonna be exposed. So that's why I love it, you know, because it requires the creator to do their own work. There's no, you can't do it. You can't hold you can't hold the container. You can't hold the space. You can't hold the vibration. And I think that's why when I first went out, I think it's another reason why my first efforts didn't work. I mean, when I look back now, I was like, it was wildly successful. Yeah. But I had expectations that were way too high, and I didn't understand that 5% of my list buying a retreat to Maui or Hawaii is wildly successful. Yes. Huge. Like, that's a huge ticket item. That's a big ticket item. So I just had all my expectations off, and you know, I still had more work to do personally, which I obviously will always be doing. But I couldn't hold it. You know, it was like I could put out the initial effort and it was good, but I couldn't maintain it.
Okay. Wow.
Well, now, of course, it's how did Astrology Hub come out of Conscious Marketer? Was it something that because you knew Natasha and the Leo King, you're like, I really want to bring this, what I've gotten from these amazing astrologers, to more people, because I know it'll benefit people. It can't not benefit people. And with my ability to tap into what people need with my skills, with technology and my natural charm and charisma and my passion around what I want to do with this. I mean, is that sort of how?
Well, that would be like a logical in retrospect chain of events, but that's not how it happened. I was at Marion and Rich's house having dinner with Marion. Rich was typing away at his computer like he would do very often while we were having our little chat sessions. And we were talking astrology like we were all the time. And he like perked up and went, I found this domain name Astrology Hub for like 2 years. I've just never known what to do with it or who to do it with. But would you want to do something with me with that? And I was like, yeah, that's amazing. Of course I would. And then what you said. So the other things where you said, astrology helps people, and this could really, I would be honored to like give it a platform and give it a spotlight and share it and get it in more hands of more people. Because what I noticed at the time was that astrology, please don't take any offense to this astrology world, was lagging pretty far behind in the realm of marketing and communicating and conveying the message of astrology. I felt like there was a lot of room for improvement. Yeah. So it was, I had no idea what I was signing up for, you guys. Like, I didn't know I was going to be the face of it. I didn't know any of that. It was like at one day, Rich was like, hey, we're going to need someone to step in front of the brand. Like, do you want to do that? It's like, sure, I could do that. Like, it was that thought through. Like, sure, I'll do that. And then on each step of the way, it has taken on its own life. I really feel like my role has been to birth it and then now to maintain the integrity of it. But it is its own entity, and it has its own purpose and its own desires and its own expression. And so now I just am doing my best to give it that space to be what it wants to be. Beautiful.
Yeah, that to me is always the mark, Amanda, and you really do it so well. The mark of what I call a mature creator. To birth something is super exciting. It's scary and thrilling. But then once it's out and it has its own legs, to just be there only when it's needed.
Yeah.
And,
I draw on my experience as a mother.
As a mother. Yeah.
I've had to do that earlier than I would have anticipated. So because of the divorce, we have 50-50. So I've had to let go on levels that I wouldn't have anticipated either. Earlier than I would have planned. I would have thought, oh, of course, when they go off to college or whatever, then I'm ready for it. So I've had practice with that early, and I see that it benefits them.
Yes.
I see that it benefits them. And that is where I'm like, God, I was holding on, but like, actually they're thriving. They're amazing. They're doing so well. Like, that spaciousness is good.
Yes.
Like when we have that, we come back together and I always sing a certain song, reunited. And just so everyone knows, the whole process has been such an expansive process for me as a human being, and an expansive process for me and my co-parenting partner, baby daddy, former husband. So it's like, I also am here to help with that whole myth that this has to be something devastating, or it has to be something where everyone is in ruins after, because my family still is truly thriving. We love each other. We just live in different houses and we're friends now, and the kids get that. They're like, okay, they're in 2 houses and they're friends. And it's like, it's not a big deal, so anyway, so yes, that has been, I love doing that with my children, and I love doing that with the business, and it feels good. I love doing it with the people that I work with. I think that's what we're meant to do with each other, with and for each other. There's an initial inspiration that we can bring to each other's lives.
Yes.
But then, everyone gets inspirations borrowed.
Yeah.
Inspirations borrowed. So it's like helping people get to that point where they're holding that vibration themselves. So
beautiful.
anyways.
Beautiful. So as a professional astrologer, someone in the field, and you've heard this before, you've done so much for astrology despite astrology. In other words, despite its blind spots.
Right.
I own a piece of astrology software, and within the realm of astrology software is even more behind the times.
I know.
In terms of the interactability and as you just use your word, the resonance with the audience. So I'm in my small software company, I'm working very diligently to bring it basically into the 21st century, not just pretty nice things that you can look at and click on, but actual robust performance of these data heavy calculations, and and I'm just mentioning that because it's like you bring that same level of quality. And now what I'm getting, Amanda, is when you're really looking at something, you're looking at something to birth it properly, but also all held in the context of resonance. How do we resonate this for the people that we're going for? So I'll tell you, I've been lecturing for a long time. I've been teaching for a long time. I have books and the mini school and all that. Your work with Astrology Hub has reached more people, one, and two, has allowed all those thousands and thousands of people to actually improve the level of their astrology and how well they use it. Because if now they're using it, if they're raising it from a level 2 to level 4, whatever that means, now they're going to start to talk about it with their friends and family. And now their friends and family are going to get the collateral benefit from that. And that's a huge, that is because of you and your team. I mean, it really is. It really is. Because look, I cannot tell you how many times I've given a lecture and I'm looking at the people, and at these astrology conferences where it's real astro nerds like me who show up and do the thing, and they just want to stay in Nerdville. And sometimes I want to say, wait, can we stop speaking astrologies and can we be people together?
Right.
And what does this actually mean for our lives? Right? And that's what you're doing. You're taking it out of this not ivory, but this kind of sequestered intellectual tower, and you're bringing it into the heart, man. Where it could benefit things.
That is a true intention with it.
Good.
Because I see astrology only as useful as its ability to actually help us connect with a higher expression of ourselves and then live that.
Yeah.
So that is a process, and it's astrology is a tool. I see it as a tool, a very potent, unbelievable tool. Honestly, for me, I've been exposed to a lot of tools on my spiritual path. Astrology, I look at all these other assessments and types and it's but why even bother when you have astrology? Because it's so detailed and rich and so I see it as a very, 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 very potent tool. I don't think it's the only tool. I don't think it's the only path, but it's a very potent tool to help people connect in with for lack of a better term, their why. Their personal why. Why are you here? What are you meant to do? Why did you incarnate? I mean, that's a big freaking question. Why did you incarnate? So, and then how can you just live that more and more fully? And that's where I think the forecast aspect actually helps because that helps us ride the energy that's happening on a day-to-day basis, so, I really see, I thank you for all those kind words. It's one of those things where it's hard to take credit for that, and I receive, and I know that it's just something working through us, all of us. Our team, we are. We start every meeting with meditation. We have done visioning on the soul or spirit of Astrology Hub, where we're asking it who it is and having that, writing it down and really working to align our imagery with that and our messaging with that. And that's evolving. You know, as she is growing up, it's evolving and it's changing. You know, she had the image that I had of her at first has changed. And so it's rolling with that. You know, who do you want to be now? Who are you today? And how can we support that? So, you know, we're a very tight-knit team. We are very much all on the same page in terms of what we're doing and why we're doing it. And ultimately it's about service. So we're here to serve. And however that looks, you know, we're willing to do what we need to do to serve the audience and serve the people at the highest.
You do have a great team. Yes. I just want to give credit to them. It seems they all have just their unique talents, the unique gifts, and everybody brings it. And it just seems like they have so much joy in what they do as well.
Yeah.
Like, really, it's just like you've handpicked an amazing team of people who just have found something with Astrology Hub that's just like, almost like you get the sense that they were waiting to slip into this. And you provided this beautiful container for them to do that.
Well, they have actually, many of them I've known for years, and they've actually come, like Samantha, for example. She recently reached out to me. I used to work with her, and then she recently reached out to me and said, "Is there anything I can do for you?" And at first I was like, "No, I can't think of anything." And then literally it was like the floodgates opened. I was like, "Oh my God, yes! There are so many things you could do for us." It's like endless, actually. Wow. So she said she thought she and her boyfriend thought of me at the same time in a meditation. So this is how everyone's working. You know, it's spirit moving for sure. Yeah.
On that note, Amanda, I also want to credit you with something, and I know a little bit more of the backstory behind this, but maybe not so much. Well, I would like to share with everyone this upcoming event that you're doing, the Eclipse event for this summer, 2017. This is the first time that you're reaching out beyond your normal list of suspects. And so for those who are watching this, this summer, Amanda and her crew are putting together an amazing eclipse whole forecast and course with 6 astrologers. Christina Ahrens, Christine Skinner, Bernadette Brady, and Ben Dykes, plus Donna Woodwell, who's on the Astrology Hub team, and she's the one who invited me into the whole works.
Astrology Hub would not exist without Donna Woodwell.
That's right.
She is like so integral in everything that we've done. It's unreal. So and
totally supportive.
Well, and she got the Astrology Hub vision before anyone else did.
Really?
Yes, she literally. I had one conversation with her, and she was so fully on board after one conversation. She didn't need any more information. It was just like, yes. Well, she needed my chart, of course.
Yeah.
But in Rich's chart, of course. But it was just like a yes. And she sees what we're doing, and she's known from the day one that this is going to be something that's going to revolutionize the world of astrology. So she's just been 100% on board.
Yeah. And it's her incredible visionary, whether she's a double or triple Sag, and her professionalism. She's formerly from, I think, New York City, the PR industry in New York.
Yeah.
Yep. And her incredible creativity and her connections that was able to connect a lot of astrologers, where we get invited to do stuff all the time, but most of the time, well, I won't speak for everyone, but a lot of times it's a no because it's not organized. They don't pay sufficiently for the effort that they're asking for us to do and all that. But we're like, what? This is going on. So organize these are professional marketers? Yeah, like I'm on board. So for those listening to this, us, quote, pros, in other words, just people doing it longer than others, that's all it means, is Astrology Hub provides us this unprecedented opportunity. It's not about getting paid. It really isn't. It's about spreading your work that you've been doing anyway, for in my case, 15 or more years, to a much bigger audience, and letting a wonderful team of people handle all the marketing and bringing the people, quote, in the door. It's so in terms of our tiny little population, it's also a huge service to us as well.
That's part of the mission for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that Donna is,
yeah. huge.
The
Yeah,
pillar
she's
for
huge.
that.
Well, and even what you were going to bring up next, the Eclipse event. So she has been
Yeah.
talking to me about this Great American Eclipse that's happening in August
Mm.
for like since I met her. I think it was one of the first conversations. She was like, and you need to put on your calendar, Amanda, that August 21st there's going to be a Great American Eclipse. And I'm like, Donna, like I can't think
Next week.
6 months in advance, let alone like 2 years. Are you serious? You know, she was wanting me to book hotels and do a big event. And I'm just like, I can't, I don't even know if Astrology Hub's going to live that long. Like, I don't know. It's so new, you know? So anyways,
that's correct.
It's because of her that we're even doing the Eclipse event. But now that I'm a part of it, so the Eclipse Mastery Program, again, yes, is featuring Bernadette Brady, Christine Ahrens, and all those. And Bernadette said she wouldn't have joined without Donna either. Well, though she just said Donna asked her so nicely that she had to say yes. And I was like, wow, that's great.
Me too. Yeah.
That's so great. That's awesome. Okay.
Yes.
So it is going to be an event like that has never happened before. That we're bringing these 6 top astrologers, and each of them is going to take a week. They're going to teach some aspect of eclipses. From anything like the draconic zodiac, the Saros cycles, the eclipses in the natal chart. Adam's going to be doing the living sky. Donna's going to be talking about, Donna's going to be giving the foundation. So for people that are newer to astrology, they'll be able to follow along with the more advanced teachings. This is not for beginners who don't even know how to read a chart. But if you do know how to read a chart, it will definitely work for you. And then Donna's going to give you any sort of details that you need to be able to follow the more advanced training aspects.
Cool.
They're going to be on for live Q&As. We're going to have a private Facebook group. There's going to be intimate opportunities to communicate with these astrologers. And then we're going to lead it up to the Eclipse event in August. And we're going to do a global meditation between the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse.
Oh.
Because my goal with all of this, you know, again, it's like beyond the astrology is amazing. It's a tool. And what are we doing here?
Right. Awesome.
For me, this is about holding this vibration, this resonance, this vibration of love through this eclipse period. And so we're going to do a series of meditations in the 14 days between the lunar and the solar eclipse.
Great.
Everybody's invited.
Right.
I don't have any details to give you yet, but it's going to be amazing. And I'm thinking about inviting, you know, people outside of the astrology community as well, maybe some spiritual teachers, some meditation teachers.
Yes.
And we'll go in together, and I personally think we have the opportunity to shift the whole vibration of the event. Yes. You know, it could go this way or that way. Yep. And I think, and no matter what, however the events turn out, we as individuals will be more empowered through this, you know, these meditations. Will be more empowered to hold that. I think of us as like lighthouses sometimes, you know, where we're anchored in and we're holding that light for those around us. So we'll be more able to do that once we're anchored in ourselves with each other, you know, through this event. So, and then I don't know what's going to happen after. I think we're going to, you know, we have our Astrology Eclipse, the Astrology Eclipse portal, which is a free Facebook group that we have, you know, Facebook Lives are happening and we're having eclipse conversations and blah, blah. Well, I think we'll keep that alive because that community is growing and it's really wonderful. So,
and there's a lot of astrologers who would be really great at sharing their work with eclipses and their work in that portal.
Right.
There's just like lots of us.
I want to keep inviting new astrologers for that.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And different angles, you know.
Great. I can give you some names. Yeah.
Yay. Good. Yeah. Gemini Brett for sure. I'm going to invite him.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you're all invited to join the Eclipse Mastery Program. It's very reasonably priced. I mean, that's the thing. We're going for scale. Mm-hmm. And when we go for scale, it takes a little bit longer to get there and it's more expensive to get there, but it enables us to price things very affordably. So
that more people can participate.
Yeah.
Right.
And I do really feel that's part of Astrology Hub's mission is that it's not a, you know, exclusive, wide. You know, it's wide. It's wide.
It's wide. Yeah. Amanda, what can I say? You rock. That's all.
Aw, you two are so awesome. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
It's fun. I'm normally the interviewer, so this.
I know. I love turning the table. So, so Amanda, what's the URL? So, can people go to astrologyhub.com and get the Eclipse course?
The Eclipse course, yes, you can go to astrologyhub.com. You'll be able to find it there. I also think you're going to put the link in around this video too.
Around this video, yes. Great. Okay, good. Yeah. So, guys, if you've not been to Astrology Hub, those followers of Soulsign and my work, you've got to at least check it out and just pick up on the vibration and the consciousness and the coherence that Amanda and her crew are putting together. I mean, just like look at what the programs they're putting together. Read some of the blogs from the astrologers who are regular contributors to it. You can see it's just such a positive, sometimes with wonderful attitude. I'm thinking of another astrologer, Kathy Beale. I just really love her.
Love her.
She's just awesome.
Well, and Deborah Silverman has attitude. I mean, Leo King's got a lot of attitude.
Yes, in a different way. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So thank you again, Amanda, and everyone. Thank you very much for listening. This is the latest, and I hope not ever again, the last video interview. And Amanda Pua Walsh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Aloha, everybody.
Aloha.
Thank you for having me.